All right, get this. According to a recent report in ProPublica, in 2000, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas thought he wasn't getting paid enough and sparked fears among some that he might resign because of it. He reportedly detailed all of those concerns in a conversation with a then Republican member of Congress, arguing that he and his fellow justices were underpaid, sparking concerns in the legal community about how much all federal judges are paid. According to that report, a memo was then written to Chief Justice William Rehnquist, asking if Congress should raise justices' salaries. ABC News has not verified the memo, and representatives for Justice Thomas and the Supreme Court have declined to comment. But all of this is prompting questions about how much the people we elect or give lifetime appointments to should financially benefit from public service. So we bring back our panel now, Mike, John, Amanda, and LZ. This is going to be like law school where I cold call on people with questions that have facts and data. So Mike, first to you. An Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court makes $285,000 a year. That's a lot of money, but it's not anywhere close to what lawyers at some big law firms get paid, even entry-level lawyers. On Capitol Hill, lobbyists make more than lawmakers. All of us on this panel know that. So there are concerns that if you lower the pay, or that their low pay could drive people away from public service. But will the American people, in your eyes, really get behind anything that would pay public servants more?
Jay, that's such a big, brilliant question. And to that, I often go back and forth on this. I do believe that if you were to pay elected officials more, or those who serve lifetime appointments, you may not get those who are willing to sign up for a servant's heart, but more so if we're looking at it from a capitalistic gain. I believe, Jay, the solution is to really look and examine term limits. If you look at examine term limits, they will be there for a limited amount of time, and then after that, they can enter with a servant's heart, and then they can leave to gain in the private sector and work for a public affairs firm or then for a lobbying firm, and they won't be tempted in order to take side deals, which often is the case to which we've seen some allegations coming from Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas.
To one of our panelists now who's been on the receiving end of a paycheck from the federal government, John, Justice Thomas has been under scrutiny for expensive trips he took, paid for by Republican donors. He even had an RV reportedly financed by a wealthy friend. After all of this came out, for the first time, as you know, the Supreme Court adopted a new code of ethics. But it's voluntary. So the question to the former lawmaker here is, should that be mandatory, and should it be put in federal law?
Oh, absolutely. We can't even take a cup of coffee from anybody when we're in Congress, and that's the way it should be. And anybody who goes into public service thinking that you're going to make a lot of money or you're going to get rich is not going in for the right reasons, and it's just not realistic. Public service is exactly what it is, public service. I did it for 32 years on the federal level, and I can tell you, much to my wife's chagrin, my family's chagrin, it was not a real lucrative thing. But here's the reality. 5 or 6 of my staffers, by the time I retired from Congress last year, were making more money than me as a member of Congress. And, you know, that's something you got to really think about. And for the average American, they're like, so what? But the bottom line is we don't want just millionaires in Congress who can afford to be there and afford all the extras. I mean, when you go to Congress, you don't get paid for extra living expenses, or at least you didn't until recently and after I left. So there's a lot of things that we can do to make it more competitive. But the bottom line is, you're a public servant. If you don't want to, if you don't like the deal, don't do it. But don't cut corners and don't try and make money on the side because you're not happy with the money you're getting. That's not why you're doing it. I was very proud of my service. Everyone should be. But, you know, thinking you're going to make money on it is you go somewhere else and make money, not as a public servant.
So, Amanda, in that vein, 2 issues that in polls always drag down Americans' perception of government are officials leaving public service to become lobbyists and members of Congress from both parties trading individual stocks of companies who they regulate or make laws about, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think that there could be any legislation on either of those things that could really ever get through Congress?
I do think there can be. I think you're seeing a whole new generation get into office and start to look at these things from an entirely different view. I am hopeful that you're seeing more and more support for stopping stock trading. So I'm hopeful about this. But listen, this should have been stopped a long time ago. I hope it will. And I think a new generation is actually going to write new rules for exactly this kind of thing.
LZ, Congress doesn't poll well with Americans. What is your take with all of this?
I think it's interesting that the conversation starts with the need to make more money, that if you look at the base of America, every single member of Congress is technically rich.
Yeah, that is an excellent point. That is an excellent point, Elsie. Thank you, sir.
That's the state of American economy right now. Right now, every member of Congress is technically rich. So if you think that you're poor in Congress, try being an average American.
They make $174,000 a year. That is a good point.
I might add to that. There's no doubt that's accurate. I'm just saying from a practical standpoint, I don't want Congress to be filled with just millionaires. I want people like me and blue collar people to go there and to be able to handle having 2 homes and all that other stuff. But all that aside, Congress has very, very strict limitations because of what's happened in the past. Supreme Court needs to have the exact same limitations. The fact that they don't, the fact that things are voluntary there is patently insane. And I absolutely agree. Term limits will solve a lot of this problem. And whoever said that, you're spot on.
I've been buttonholed in the halls of Congress with both of those points made. But Mike, John, Amanda, and Elsie, thank you very much for your time.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.